Today, we're going to talk about the essential components every developer should have on their portfolio. Finding a software job can be very stressful and time-consuming. And that's why I was glad to write the book, Breaking the Code, to give you those 5 essential steps that will help you in your interview process. So pick up a copy of Breaking the Code at Amazon or any other major outlet. If you've been watching our channel for a while, you know that we recommend that every developer should have a portfolio. If this is your first time watching us, every developer should have a portfolio. But you may be asking yourself the question, what should I put on my portfolio? And that's the purpose of this video. I want to show you the features and functionality that a good developer portfolio should have. Now, when you look at this, you may get caught up in the style or the design aspect of this, and that's okay. And if you're watching this in the future, I want you to understand that design styles for websites come and go. So I want you to focus on the functionality and not necessarily what it looks like. However, if you like this template that I use to build this portfolio, I have linked it below, and you can definitely use that on your portfolio. Having said that, I think templates are a good thing to use. You can definitely use one, but bring your own flair and your own creativity to it. So without further ado, let's look at what I think every developer portfolio should have.
Now, the first thing that you'll notice right here is I've got a navigation. So you should have a clear navigation that could be on the left. These could slide out. It could be at the top. That doesn't really matter. But you need a clear navigation with clear sections that are easy to read. And this mobile site, or this site, should also work on mobile as well. So it needs to be responsive. So in the case of mobile, this would kind of squeeze up into what we call the hamburger menus. And so, but the first page you can come to is your home page. Now you'll notice here on this home page, we have this full scale image. And I think in today's world, if you're asking me today, what's kind of cool is a full-scale image on what we call above the fold. And that comes from the old newspaper days. If you folded the paper in half, what do I see above the fold? That's the most important thing. So as you can see here, we've got a photo of our developer, Adam Jones, in his natural environment writing code. And I think that's what you should attempt to do. So the one of the things that you would do is stage a photo like this instead of having just a kind of a stock photo or a stock headshot here. I think you can stage a photo and call these candid shots or action shots of you in your natural environment. So get a friend, get a neighbor, find someone who can take great photographs, and just kind of set some up and shoot them so that they look great like this. And you can see here, this guy is sitting in probably some kind of coffee shop. He's got his laptop. He's looking off into the side, getting ready to rule the world, and he's going to write some code today. And so I think you can do this any number of ways. So what I want you to do is focus less on a headshot and more on a candid shot. Second, your name should be clearly visible. And then you can have, what do you do? I am a software developer. I'm a full stack developer. I'm a mobile developer. You want a title right here. Another thing that you could add that I didn't do here is a call to action or a CTA, which means that you go ahead and ask if you're looking for work, just say, hey, let's work together. Click here to learn more. I've got a little CTA here in my menu section here. That may not work as well if the menus are at top. So may consider having a button or something like this that could take them to a contact form and give them a call to action, which is hire me or use me as a freelance developer or a contractor or whatever. So that's the home page. Shoot a great picture, do a candid picture, an action shot, and less headshotty. So let's talk about the next section that I think should be on everyone is the about page. And so the about page is where you get to write a paragraph about you. Now in this paragraph, I want a couple of things. I want a title, who am I? And then I want my elevator pitch or my one word, one sentence thing. When someone walks to you on the street and say, hey, what do you do? Well, hey, I'm Alex Jones. I'm a full stack web and mobile developer. Very simple, to the point, and this should be in an H1, H2, H3 set apart from the rest of the text. And here, I want you to write 3 to 5 sentences about what you do. I want less about the fact that you climbed Mount Everest and more about how you use software to solve people's problems. So while you may be an expert hiker or you run marathons on the weekends, that doesn't really matter. What here I want you to talk about is being a software developer. And that's kind of what I took a stab at here. And then we have our name, our email contact, our location, and also here is your chance to put down your resume, an electronic version of your resume or your CV. And we also can provide links to other portions in your portfolio in addition to the links over here where they could click on my work and that would take them to the project section. Now let's talk about the photos here. Again, the photos here, I'm using 2 photos in this one. They're actually the same shot, but they're cropped different. And so what I want you to do here again is look at less headshot and more kind of action shot, even though headshots work really well here. But look at the template that you downloaded, or you can look at this and you can say, hey, you see how he's kind of looking off in the distance. We've got a nice depth of field here in this picture, and that's from using like a DSLR camera. And I think that's really important. So the photographs are real important. So now that we've shot 2 or 3 photographs, that's pretty much all you need to do from the photographing side. And I think you can really set this page apart. Now, if you think that you're not a model and things like that, don't be afraid of that. Go ahead and shoot the best photo you can and stick it on here. I think it's very helpful. The next section that we can come across with is the skills section. And so what you do here, again, I've got my H1 label here, and then I've got 2 to 3 sentences about my skills. Again, it's really similar to the about section. You tell them what you do, what you like to do, and what you use. And then in these tiles here, I had little cards here that I built out. I've got a logo for C# here, and I call it C# development. And then I wrote a couple of sentences about how I use C#. And I did the same thing in all of my skills. So like if you're a React developer, this would be the React logo, React development, and then explain to them, give them a little flavor into like how you use this particular skill on your in your work in your daily life. Now, if you've been into this for 5 years, you don't have to put all 20 cards in here. I would say 6 is good enough. Pick the top 6. And then up here in this sentence, you can add lots of other languages you want if that suits your fancy. So like you can put in here whatever you want up here, but leave this succinct, the things that you're using right now. The fact that you're interviewing for C# jobs, you can put Java up here and not necessarily highlight Java here if you don't want to take on Java roles at the moment. So here I've got my C# development, my full stack web. This is my architecture. So this, and then I've got a front end. I combined HTML, CSS, and JavaScript here. I think that's a good thing to do. Most people know these are kind of combined together. I'm using Xamarin here as my mobile arm, and so you may be using React Native or whatever you want to do there. And then database, you talk about databases, and then you talk about something like Bootstrap. If you're watching this video, your skills may differ from the ones that I'm putting here. If you're inside a Coder Foundry and you're looking at this and you're building your portfolio inside a Coder Foundry, then these are the kind of the skills, the primary skills we're teaching in the class. So you're going to have something very similar to this. But get creative with these cards. I do like these cards being out in the open and not hidden behind carousels. It's just a design point that I like. But the carousels do give it interactivity, but here they can just kind of visit and look at it really easily. So let's talk about the 2 most time-consuming sections that you're going to build. So the next section is the projects section. And so right here, again, we've got our H1 called projects. This could be your work. It could be called portfolio, whatever you want to call it. What we're going to do here is show actual, complete, functional projects that demonstrate what you can do on a job. And you can see here, I've got 3 sentences that kind of overview all of my projects and talks a little bit about the skill and the stack that I'm using. But it basically says these are fully functional projects. Now, the other thing inside your projects is, if you notice here, I've got these kind of hover buttons, and I have branded each one of my projects. And I think that's what you need to do. So if you build a bug tracker like you would in Coder Foundry, give it a name, create a logo. And here we built a financial portal inside of Coder Foundry. We give it a name, give it a logo. And we also built a blog site. So give it a name and give it a logo. Then in here, the one thing that we want to add too is someone clicks on the card or the hover button. Notice here now I've popped out on modal, and now I have this complete landing page for my bug tracker. And here I'm talking about what I use to build it and a little bit of overview of what it does. And so what you're doing is you're trying to convince the person to visit your project, which a visit link right here. But in case they don't get that far, you need to be able to tell them what you built it with, and the technology that you're using, and the things and the skills that you have that you can bring to the table. And so I think these two paragraphs talk about what I built, what I use it to build it with, how long did it take me to build it, and walk them through in a very short and succinct manner of like how this is put together. And here you got the project name. Again, we're referencing the technology stack used. And then we also had a little category here in case you have a bunch of them. The other thing I added here is also some screenshots in here. So in case you have someone that doesn't want to go look at your demo project, you can give them the opportunity to browse through the screenshots. But this link right here would then in turn take them to the full project where they could demo and log in and look at it. So that is your project section. Now inside of Coder Foundry, and I think if you're not inside of Coder Foundry, you should do these as well. So coding challenges are what I would say on a smaller scale. They're not a full-blown project. A project will consist of like a business problem, authorization, a database. This will be smaller in scale. Typically, a coding challenge would be something like FizzBuzz or reverse a string or palindrome. And inside of Coder Foundry, we've branded several of these. And so again, we use the same technique that we did in the project section where we branded each one of these coding challenges. And when I click more, this is where it gets a little bit different. So when I click more, this is going to take me out to what I'm going to call a full mini site. And a mini site for coding challenges. And because coding challenges are smaller in scale, we can talk about here where we can actually build an application to solve this. So SuperDog events was about getting the mean and the average of items in an array. And so right here, the four sections that I want is the home, which is your application, the thing that does what you're doing here. And you can see here I have a list of events, and I can pick the events in a filter and bring back those kind of simple metrics. If you want to see how we built SuperDog events, you can watch a video that we did on this. It's up on the channel, and you can check that out. You can also see that we also have some data in here. So we took a very simple coding challenge, put a really nice and creative UI on it, branded it, and then it makes it a lot more interesting to look at. The second thing that we add here is a detail of the challenge itself. So what is in SuperDogs? What is the SuperDog? And it says SuperDogs event is an event company that produces Comic Cons. The marketing team has requested a site that displays sites from their events. You're given an array of event data to build a site. That's your basic challenge here. And in here, there's some more specifications about the different stats that you want to show. And then it also has the array down here. The third thing I should say that you should do is create a link to your GitHub repo where they can see the repo, the code that was used to build this. And so this mini site should consist of home, the application, the challenge, the descriptor of the challenge, what does the application need to do, a link to the code, and then a link back to your portfolio. One other thing that you could add here is in your get the code section is you could also show using something like Prism.js and actually show highlights or snippets of the code if there's a lot of code in a coding challenge, or just the main algorithm that you used right on this page so they don't have to go to a repo to do it. But if you do that, I also want you to add the repo as well. So this is called a coding challenge mini site. And when you look through here, we expect at Coder Foundry that each one of these coding challenges that you'll do, and while you're here during the 12 weeks, you'll actually do 4 to 6 of these, and maybe many as 10, but we want to see 3 to 5 of these or 3 or 6 of these on your portfolio so that a hiring manager can come through, click through these, and check them out. So just think about mini sites. So let's go on to one other section too that I think everyone should have. I do think that you should have a blog, and you should put blog items on your website. Now inside of Coder Foundry, we're actually going to build the blog software. But if you're not going to Coder Foundry and you want to not build your blog software, which is okay, you can reference Medium or any kind of these blogging sites that you want to use. And I want you to blog about technology as you're trying to break in. Now, one thing that you can do is, if we go back here to our coding challenges, is we can blog about FizzBuzz. And FizzBuzz is a very traditional kind of coding challenge. You know, if you had a numbers from 1 to 100, anything that's divisible by 3, print out Fizz. Anything divisible by 5, print out Buzz. If they're divisible by both, print out FizzBuzz. And so this is a very popular coding challenge. So what you could do is write about your blog about how you solved FizzBuzz, okay? And if you're creative, and I know that you will be, you can go back to this mini site and you can actually have the blog item referenced here as well. That's another thing you could add to your coding challenge mini site. So I want you to blog about your coding challenges. I want you to blog about the process that you used maybe to build one of these projects. Highlight a specific technique that you used to build your bug tracker, your financial portal, or if you built your own blog software. And that's what we did here. And then you can see over here, I have some ideas. Is like if you're using architectural design patterns like MVC, take one of those technical topics and write about it. It will help you learn more. It will help you facilitate your learning and get that really crafted into your brain so that you can remember how to talk about this during an interview situation. But I think it'll help your learning process and commit that to long-term memory and not just short-term by actually writing about it and structuring your thoughts. And then finally, get people to review these to make sure that they're A, accurate, B, the spelling's correct, the syntax is right, all those kind of things, so that you don't shoot yourself in the foot by having a lot of misspellings or broken sentence structure and things like that. So make sure they're all correct in that manner, both in syntax and in content. And then also add a picture for each one of your blogs so it's interesting and you want them to click on your links and read your content. So finally, one other section that I would like to talk about is up in here. So somewhere in the middle of your page, maybe in between your skills and your projects, I want you to create a banner called a CTA, which is a call to action. And this says, let's work together. I'm available for full-time or freelance projects. Hire me and get your project done. So you tell them what you're willing to do, and then you tell them that you can do it. And then you just basically click the Hire Me button, which is going to take them to this contact page. And here you're collecting information, your name, the email, the subject, and the message, and then they can send you a message. Below here on the footer, you're going to have your locations, your phone, and your email. And also if you have any social links, your YouTube video, your LinkedIn, your Twitter, you need to have those available as well in your footer so they can find you always. And so why would we do all of this work for a developer portfolio? And what's the reasoning behind doing all of this work? So what I want you to think about is if you have a domain name, which you should register for every for your developer profile. So if your name is Adam Jones, you should have some type of like adamjones.com. But I want you to think about this. If you have a mini site for 5 to 6 coding challenges, you also have published, fully functional, full-blown projects that someone can just click on a URL and demo and run. All of those projects plus these reference this Adam Jones portfolio site. When they Google your name, this SEO game that you have going on will present you in a much more positive light. And then you throw in your blog articles. And so all of these can point and make your site highly relevant and SEO extremely well. And I think that's why we do it. We want people to find you, and we want people to make sure that when they see your site, it is professional, it's well done, it's attractive, and it has a lot of information and projects and coding challenges on the project so that people will more than likely call you for an interview.
So if you've enjoyed our content here, please like and subscribe by hitting the buttons below. If you're interested in coming to Coder Foundry or learning to code, or you're interested in finding that first software job, go to coderfoundry.com/job roadmap. My team will get you on your way to getting that first software job. So I hope you find the information in this video very useful. And I think it's essential for every developer to have a great developer portfolio. The features and functionality that I've outlined in this video will help you present yourself better to a potential employer when either you're during the interview, when you can demo it, or when you're just applying and they can look at a link online. Either way, having a great portfolio will put you on a path to getting that first software job or while you're interviewing for other software jobs. I hope this helps. Good luck and keep coding.